All right, guys, what you're seeing on screen here might be the most important thing for men in their 20s to understand. You're probably like, what the heck are you talking about? It's two guys with their shirts off. Well, here's the deal. Both of these are 31 years old. On the left is the average man's physique at 31, 26% body fat and gaining weight. On the right, you've got Christian Guzman. He's a fitness influencer, an entrepreneur, completely different body at 31, okay? This is the average person's income in America. $37,585 per year. These are three companies owned by Christian Guzman. The one on the top left, that's Alphaland Gym. It's this huge gym. When I lived in Houston, Texas, that's actually where I worked out at. I'll put some video up on screen so you can see it. Crazy thing to have built. Right here, you've got his apparel company, Alpha Elite. Those are some of the models for it. That's one of the biggest apparel companies in the fitness space. Then you've got 3D Energy Drinks, which is another company that Christian owns. I don't know his net worth, but I would guess it's around $100 million. Okay, so $37,000 per year, $100 million net worth. Same age. This is Christian with his wife outside their new house they just bought. Now, why am I showing you this? Is this just some Christian Guzman glazing video? No. Well, I mean, Christian's killing it. Mad respect to him. But the point of this video is that the possibilities for men at age 30 are limitless. You know, when you're 20 years old, everybody's pretty even. You know, somebody looks a little bit better, jawline slightly better, hairline slightly better. They joined a fraternity in college, or somebody's been saving some money. But like for the most part, everybody's basically the same shitty car, same kind of mindset. Like it's there's not a huge difference. You get to 25, things start to change. I remember hitting that age and I was like, I feel like I'm actually a full-grown adult at this point. But the gap still wasn't that big, and there's a lot of things I was still not figuring out all the way. But now that I'm 27, I've got my physique checked in, my career's starting to move in the right direction. I mean, and you start to look around and you see the gap expanding between people who've been putting in the work, people who've been screwing things up in their lives, and it's just going to get bigger. And so when you hit 30, you see this drastic difference. 100 million versus 38K per year. That body versus that body. This is the kind of thing that can happen when you get to 30. The possibilities are absolutely limitless. And so the question you have to ask is, if the possibilities for men are truly limitless by age 30, why do most men have this? They have that body, that income. 1.16 trillion is the credit card debt in America. So most people are in credit card debt. 50% of marriages end in divorce. 30% of men haven't had sex in the last year. Why do most men end up with this life instead of this life? It just doesn't. Why is that happening, guys? Okay. It's because most men systematically destroy their lives before 30. I've been discussing this chart recently. I made a few videos on it already. After you finish watching this video, I highly recommend you watch my If You Feel Like You're Falling Behind in Life, watch this video, because I break this whole chart down in detail. But just briefly to explain what we're looking at here, because it's an extremely important thing for you guys to understand. The y-axis represents the quality of life a man is living. The x-axis represents his age. The red line is the path that 99% of men take in life. Their quality of life goes from a 1 to a 2 when they get into college. They're getting drunk, no responsibility. They think life's going great because it's better than it was in high school. They have no purpose in life, so they're just getting fucked up the whole time. I did this for a bit. You leave college, you get to the point where it's like, okay, now I'm starting some job, I have no status, you spend a little bit of money, you're going out living, your lifestyle shoots up to a 2 again, and then it gradually declines. Your lifestyle's like a 1 by the time you get to 30. The blue line here is the outlier path in life. You put in the work early, things start compounding. By the time you hit 30, you're living a 10 out of 10 lifestyle. This should be incredibly inspiring to you guys. What does a 10 out of 10 lifestyle look like? It looks like stuff like this. That kind of house, that kind of body. Vacations to places like Miami or just wherever you want to go in life. Ferraris. And if this isn't what you want, just put in your dreams in life. Realize that's what's possible for you if you take a different path in life. And we've got just verifiable evidence of this in the form of Christian Guzman versus the average person's life. And now what I want to do is discuss how you can avoid ending up like 99% of men. Because anybody with half a brain knows they want that blue life. Yet max 1% of people get it. Most people are taking the red path in life. So how do we avoid that? How do we avoid ending up like 99% of men? Well, the first thing you need to understand, guys, is that 10 years is a long time. And if you're watching this, you're 25 to 27 years old. 3 to 5 years is also an incredibly long time. You can get so much done if you increase the timeline. Most of us are thinking about what we can do in a week. If you think about what you can do in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you realize the possibilities are truly limitless. If you're out there and you're like, you know what, I can't get in shape. What if I told you you had 10 years to get in shape and that was all you had to do? Could you do it? You'd be like, yeah, I can do it. So the point is, when you increase the time gap, you increase possibility. So 10 years is an enormous amount of time, and that's how you end up with outliers like Christian Guzman. You end up with the average person. This chart right here, so important to understand. If you get 1% better every single day for a year, you'll be 37 times better by the end of that year, statistically. Look at this difference, a 1% improvement versus a 1% decline. You can see how they just radically change over the course of a year. It's just about what you're doing on a daily basis. You really need to understand this concept, because the thing is, perfection is not required to do great things. Consistency is. Thank God perfection is not required, because I'm certainly not perfect. I keep making mistakes, but you know what? I keep showing up and trying to get better, and things start to pick up. It really is like this chart, guys. It felt like it was, tooth and nail trying to get every little piece of progress when I first started on my self-improvement journey in my early 20s. Now it feels like every 3 months I look back and I'm like, yeah, my life has radically improved. It just keeps picking up speed over and over again. It's getting better and better because I just keep showing up and being consistent. I want that for you guys as well. Now, here's the thing. The problem is that 99% of men do the wrong things consistently. So now we want to ask, what are these things that guys are doing consistently in their 20s that are making their lives 1% worse each day? None of this stuff is dramatic. And so you're going to be like, oh yeah, no duh, when I show you some of this stuff. But truthfully, think about it and just realize the implications of this stuff over 10 years. If you avoid this stuff and you do the stuff I'm going to tell you to do, just imagine how different your life will be. First thing, diet. This filth is what the average person consumes on a daily basis. It is vile, guys. Doritos, mac and cheese. I do like mac and cheese, I ain't gonna lie, but if you're eating that shit regularly, grow up, man. Seriously, mac and cheese, come on. McDonald's, soda, vegetable oil. Just because it says vegetable does not mean it's healthy. It's about the worst thing you can put in your body. It's practically motor oil. It's rancid, bleached, chemical-infested oil. It's disgusting for you, okay? That Mexican food right there, every town in America has a Mexican restaurant with that on the menu. Honestly, I can't lie. It tastes pretty good, right? I like Mexican food, but at some point I had to say, who do I want to be in life? And I had to cut this kind of crap out. I'm not saying you can't eat it all the time. That's the beauty of this thing that I'm discussing here, is that perfection isn't required. If you eat that Mexican food once, no big deal. But if you eat it 4 times a week, you got a problem on your hands. Consistency, right? This is the kind of stuff that people are doing consistently that destroy their lives. Pop-Tarts for breakfast, I've had roommates in my life, and it's like I get up and I watch them, and genuinely, Pop-Tart for breakfast, soda and McDonald's for lunch, Mexican food for dinner, snacking on Doritos. It's like, gee, no wonder your health's fucked. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. 70% of the average American's diet comes from ultra-processed food. Stuff like this. It's completely related to chronic diseases, obesity, just destroys your life. Seriously. If you do that for 10 years, you're going to have a hard time coming back. You can come back, but you've dug yourself a mighty big hole, okay? Now imagine if you ate this for 10 years. Sweet potato, grass-fed steak, chicken, avocado, eggs, fruit. Think about the difference your life's going to have. Play this out over 10 years, right? You eat one steak versus, one Pop-Tart, not a huge difference. You eat steak, eggs, and vegetables and fruit for 10 years versus this crap, where are you going to be at, guys? This is not rocket science. And this should be motivating to you, because you should realize, it's not a secret. It's not magic. It's just the shit you do every single day. It turns into who you are. Let's move on. Next one, activity. This is what the average person's day-to-day life looks like in their 20s. The average man playing video games on the couch, sitting down watching TV, on a desk at an office, and then he gets off work and he's sitting at the desk again, sitting all the time, versus this type of stuff. I used me as an example because the best thing I tell guys is get in the gym, train yourself. It's so valuable, guys. But just seriously, look at the difference. I box, I weightlift, I walk. That's the 3 things I put on here. Imagine if you did boxing, weight training, and walking for 10 years. Every single day you were either weight training or boxing, and you took a walk, versus that. The gap is enormous, guys. Seriously, just this should be motivating to you. Be like, fuck, all I got to do is just go to the gym for 10 years and I'm going to be an outlier. You just think, and the point of this, guys, is also, it's not just the action, it's the downstream consequences of the action. What do I mean by that? You go to the gym, your testosterone level stays high, your bone density's high, you're physically more attractive, you look like you've got your crap together. How does that affect you? Well, your hormone levels are higher. When your testosterone's high, you're more motivated, you're more ambitious, your sex drive's higher. You're going to go work harder. Seriously, I work like a dog, guys. I'm doing this 12 by 30 challenge right now where I'm literally working 12 hours per day on my career. Same time, I'm doing my diet right. I'm in the gym, all this stuff, right? I have unlimited energy because I do this. Do you think this guy has unlimited energy? No. And you see the guy sitting on the couch right there. He's got food in his hand because that's the classic way you do it. You sit down, turn your brain off and watch something on Netflix and eat junk. It's like, do that for 10 years. The downstream effects of that. Okay, your hormone levels are shot. You're gaining weight. You look like a slob. You're not improving yourself because you're on Netflix, which isn't helping you get better. Like, the downstream effects of that, your income's going to be worse because you're not improving yourself. You look less attractive, which means you're going to do worse with women, which also means you're going to have less confidence in yourself, which means when you go to pursue things in life, you're not going to see yourself as the kind of guy who wins because this is the kind of stuff you're doing. That diet, the downstream effects, brain fog, you can't work hard, no energy, lethargic, ED, testosterone in the floor, you have a puffy face, your skin looks like crap. I mean, the downstream effects of this stuff. You play it out. The guy playing video games right there, mouth agape. I know it's a picture, but guys do this all the time. You look over, mouth hanging open. They look like an idiot. That posture looks fantastic too, right? You just play this stuff out. The downstream effects are crazy. Being amazing. I made the Do the Basics video. Go watch that one too. Being amazing in life is not about one thing. It's about consistency. Let's talk women, okay? This is the average man when it comes to women. I put this party on here, right? You're going out to a club. What do most guys in their 20s do? They spend every weekend thinking about getting a girl. Let's chase some ass, right? Every guy goes out to a club like this, and they never admit it, really, very rarely. But every one of them in the back of their mind, because I was this guy, they're thinking about, oh, if I'm going to sleep with a woman tonight. Every one of them has some goofy fantasy in their head about going out to a club, just a stunning woman falling all over them. It's like, that doesn't happen. It never happens. But we keep deluding ourselves. And so guys run around wasting their life. Because again, downstream effects. This isn't just about the fact that you're out chasing women one night. It's the downstream effects of that. You waste money. You waste time. Like, this is what guys are doing with their stuff. And it's like, gee, I wonder why your life's destroyed at 30. It's because you spent 10 years out at clubs getting rejected by women. Like, you probably didn't even approach them. So you didn't even get rejected. You just stood in the corner. And somehow you thought you were going to get a girl. Dating apps. Guys spend money on that. You know, I used to use the dating apps and the amount of time I wasted on this crap. Seriously. And the dates never go anywhere anyways. It's just, this is what guys do. I put Disney on there because guys have these fairy tales. Guys are living in fantasy land. They think it's so important for them to go out and get married early on. Or go out and find a woman. They need love in their life. Like, what are you talking about? Romantic love is not the same as love anyways. That's just like... It's infatuation. We've just glamorized it and called it romantic love. It's Disney nonsense. Guys have in their head in their 20s, gotta go find love. Gotta go find this woman. I just want a girl in my life. Or all this stuff. And it's like, why? Okay? So guys are running around with the fairy tales in their head. And then they go, propose to a woman. They haven't even experienced their prime yet. I tell guys, seriously, I have no intention of getting married until I'm in my mid-30s. I'm not even looking for a committed relationship until 30 because I see where this is going. And so this is a big mistake guys make, and this is how they end up ruining their lives. They go out to clubs, they go on dating apps, they put all of their energy in their 20s into finding a woman, but they never made themselves attractive. It's like wanting to be a doctor before going to medical school. That's what it's like chasing women in your 20s. You have not done the prerequisites to get the kind of woman you want, and you're just trying to go out and get it. And so you end up with something you don't really want. A lower quality woman. Maybe you knock some girl up, that is one of the few things that truly, if you do that and you fuck that up, that is one of those things that's a one-time thing that can really wreck your life. You get a woman pregnant when you don't want to, just dumb stuff. Like, think with your head, guys, like the right head, not this head down here. Now, imagine if you did this instead of that, okay? I put the rational male on here. Basically, the point I put it on here for, this is a book about dating and, female psychology, just intersexual dynamics, evolutionary psychology. Most guys, they're running around with the Disney fairy tale in their head. They think that's how it works. They think it's this romantic love, infatuation, all this like movie stuff they saw. And so then they get screwed in relationships. The woman's like running him over. He's a doormat. He can't even go out with his friends. He has to ask permission to do everything because he's got fairy tales in his head. Whereas if you read books like The Rational Male, you figure out, intersexual dynamics. Again, it's smart to go into things actually knowing how they work. Most guys go in blind to the dating thing and they spend their whole 20s on it. And then they get to 30 and they haven't self-improved. And so their life's a mess. And all they've got is a woman who doesn't respect them. And she's maybe cheating on him, right? So you got Rational Male. I got that car there. I got these outfits, right? Imagine if you're dressed like that versus how the average man's dressed. This is what you do with your 20s. The reason you'll notice none of this actually has to do with women. Because the proper approach, imagine if you did this for your 20s, is instead of trying to get women, you went and made yourself the kind of man women wanted. So you learned game, you learned psychology, you understood how relationships worked, you got your money right, you got a cool lifestyle going, you're going to trips, things like that, you're dressed well, you're in shape. Just think about the difference over 10 years, okay? Where are you going to be at? One guy looks like Christian Guzman, one guy looks like the average man. Because the average man's chasing women, high-level men went and worked on themselves and the women chased them, all right? Huge difference. Free time. This is what the average man is doing in his 20s, and this is how he ruins his life by 30. What is he doing in his free time? Scrolling on his phone. The average person in Gen Z spends 9 hours a day on their phone, and I promise you they're not connecting with high-level people or creating content to start a business. No, they're just scrolling on TikTok, wasting time. You're out at the local bar with your buddies, whatever, right? You're probably not even going to be friends with them in 2 years. Let's be honest. You're talking about nonsense. Is this getting you anywhere in life? No, okay? It's just like, how do you wonder how you end up where you end up at 30. You wonder why the average man's life at 30 is a wreck. It's a 1 out of 10 lifestyle. It's stuff like this, scrolling on the phone, out at the local bar, sports bar, we got to play fantasy football, right? Like, in your free time, Googling what other men are doing on a football field. It's like great use of time, guys. Like, it's just silly, man. Like, I don't feel sorry for the average person because of stuff like this. I'm like, what are you doing with your time? I don't understand it. Video games, again, the downstream effects of this stuff. Wasting time is like the biggest sin to me. I can't, it's like awful. I feel like God looks at that and he's like, what are you doing? I made you for so much more than this. Versus stuff like this, working on a business. You're going to get yourself out of that job you don't like. You're going to run your own business. You're going to have a lifestyle most people dream of. You're in the gym, reading. You read the 50th Law, I promise you'll get a lot further in life than if you read the fantasy football news article online or whatever. $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozy. You read that book, I guarantee you'll be doing a lot better in life than if you went to the bar with your buddies, okay? How are guys spending their money? The average man spends his money on things like this: video games, beer, weed, Netflix. And then it's like, gee, how do you ruin your life before 30? Oh, I don't know. It's because every dollar you spent was wasted. It's just crazy, guys. Like, the average man does not have $1,000 in an emergency. This is a fact, okay? The average person cannot get $1,000 in need. And it's because they spent $120 this weekend on video games. They spend $1,000 a year on alcohol. I had friends back in the day. They would spend $200 a week on weed. And they weren't selling it, right? They were smoking that, okay? $200 a week. You could buy a house with that in a year. And it's like, geez, no wonder your life's a mess at 30. This is not complicated. Again, this is what I love about life, truthfully, is that it really is just about consistency. It's not about perfection. Thank God it's not about perfection. It's just about not doing stupid shit like this, and you'll be fine in life, truthfully. Know the ROI of every dollar you spend. I believe in something called the ROI mindset. Having money sitting in a savings account is only useful for an emergency. Otherwise, everything you make, you should just spend it. The question is, what do you spend it on? And this is what people spend it on. What is ROI, by the way? It means return on investment, if you didn't know. So basically, when you put $1 out into the world, you spend it on something. You invest it in something. What was the return on that? So what's the return on video games? Mindless entertainment that gets you nowhere in life, wrecks your posture because you're sitting down all day, you get fatter. What's the ROI on beer? Low testosterone, a hangover, lack of productivity. What's the ROI on weed? Well, some of it's laced with fentanyl, so it could be your freaking death, but I mean, on a more realistic level, it fries your brain, you're lazy, wasted money, you didn't do anything useful with it. Netflix, pretty much the same thing, okay? The ROI, you got to think about money as a tool for maximizing your life. And most guys in their 20s, they think of it as this like short-term instant gratification tool, whereas you could do stuff like this. Top corner here, you've got me in my YouTube studio. The reason I put that there is because I closed a real estate deal last year, and I was like, what do I want to do with this money? Because I don't want to just leave it in a bank account. I want to use it for something smart that's going to get me ahead. And I was like, you know what? I want to restart my YouTube channel. I want to build a business online with YouTube. I bought those lights. There's also this light in front that you can't see. I bought a few other things to improve it, like kind of set up a makeshift studio. It'll work until I invest more money into it. It was a few $100, right? It wasn't something crazy, but I made the investment back immediately by starting this channel. It immediately paid me. I don't even have a business built. It just off the ad revenue, it paid itself back in a month. Okay? This is ROI mindset. It doesn't even have to just be dollars. I believe ROI is about life maxing. What is life maxing? It's just every moment of your life you want to look back and be like, I'm glad I lived that moment. So for example, I went to the Grand Canyon down there. I went to Arizona, spent money on that. I ended up profiting on the trip because it ended up being something where I worked on business as well. But even if I had just gone to the Grand Canyon, just a great experience to have in life, to have gone on a trip, to have seen some stuff, perspective shifts. It's something I'll remember, right? That's a good use of money in my opinion. The ROI on that was an experience I'll never forget. Right here, I've got masterminds, these people meeting. I'm in some mastermind groups. One of the best investments you can make is getting around people who have the same goals as you, who are maybe a little bit ahead of you, and that you can talk about this kind of stuff with them. Usually they cost money though. I would tell you the return on a mastermind is infinite. I mean, you get it's insane how being around people who think like you can really improve your life. Even something as simple as the stocks, if that's what you're into. Boxing, I've got on here. Skills. Skills is a great ROI. Right? Like I box. I think it's a great thing to do. It's great for your health. It's just something that makes you more confident. It's fun. It's like genuinely fun rather than video games where it's kind of just wasting your time. BetterHelp, that's therapy. I highly recommend therapy for guys. If you got the money, the ROI on therapy for me was great because it helped me start thinking more rationally, stop being so emotional. I hate being emotional. It's a great way to ruin your life is being emotional. Coursera here is an example of online courses. You can go pay for education online that will get you ahead in your career, get you ahead in anything. I've paid for courses that taught me how to be a better speaker. I've paid for courses that taught me about dating, social skills, business skills. I use them to this day. The ROI on paying for education is massive. Now imagine the difference between spending all your money in your 20s on shit like this versus spending it on shit like this. Play this out over your 20s. Where do you end up? Where do you end up with all of it? Just think about all of it. The money, the women, how you treat them, the free time that you have, your health, your diet, your exercise, all that stuff. Where do you end up? Well, it's the difference between Christian Guzman and the average person. That should be incredibly motivating to you. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video, and I'll talk to you later.